Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about something a little different tonight. We're not going to do a Bill and Ted 3 review. A lot of people probably wondering where that is. We said on Twitter it was okay. Not really worth a video though. But what I do think is worth a video, and I've seen a lot of cartoonists talking about this on Twitter, including Jay, who tagged me in. He wondered if we had an opinion about Jake Parker allegedly, possibly maybe plagiarizing another cartoonist's art book.
Yeah. The list comes after last year's fiasco. Right.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Jake Parker is a cartoonist who does a lot of graphic novels for Scholastic, stuff like that. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's probably best known as the, I guess, originator of Inktober.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, he came up with the Inktober hashtag, and it has kind of blown up in art circles. A lot of artists.
Well, didn't he promote people using it and stuff and make lists and all that kind of stuff? Like he was like, yeah, do this. Build me up.
Help me. Help you. Help me.
Why don't you build me up, Buttercup, so I can take all your money?
Yeah, right. So there was controversy last year, like, hey, I've even done Inktober. If you go out to clownfishtv.com and click on animation, I've done drawings for Inktober.
Oh, now you're going to have to take that down.
So last year's controversy with Mr. Jake Parker, and disclaimer, I've actually met him. I've spent some time with him. I hung out with him at a convention one year. He seemed like an okay guy, right? But this is kind of not a good look, admittedly, for someone who's been very pro art community. Mm-hmm. All these years, he's been like, go draw your own stuff. I'm going to help you, build your portfolio and build up your skill. So you can help
build me up.
Yes, and that seems to be what's going on here.
Check my YouTube channel out.
Use my hashtag, and then I'm going to turn around and trademark it. So this was the controversy with Jake Parker last year, that people wondered if Inktober was in peril because he trademarked Inktober.
Yeah, people were mad.
So we're going to go backwards, and then we're going to go forwards, because we're talking about the same dude, and it's another year. It's another Inktober drama. So last year they took a book down because they were using Inktober in the title, and he had trademarked it. Amazon, took it down at Parker's request, and Parker responded with an official post. He said, "Please don't use my Inktober logo. This is reserved for sponsors. It's totally cool to use the word Inktober together with the year of participation. Use Inktober plus year as a subtitle, not a leading title on the cover of your sketchbook." Basically, he trademarked Inktober after using it for 10 years, after pushing it
After telling everybody else to use it for 10 years.
Right. After telling everybody else to follow him and do the Inktober challenge. It is now a registered trademark.
So basically, kind of like what happened, with we saw with the webtoons. Everybody else builds it up, and then after it reaches a certain point, then they want to, be in charge.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, because Jake Parker does have publishing deals with, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, they want to use it.
They want to use it. They want to use the Inktober brand. That it could be argued, even though Jake Parker originated it, it was the thousands and thousands of cartoonists over the last decade that actually gave it relevancy.
And it was being supported by him to do so.
Right. And then all of a sudden he turned around and trademarked it because he has a book coming out, or a series of books coming out.
They made the name worth trademarking. They made the name a brand, and now he wants to claim ownership of the brand.
That would be my understanding. He's like, it's still cool to use the hashtag, just don't use my logo because it's a registered trademark. I know people last year were very, very upset because, having come from a webcomics background, Inktober was quite a big deal for webcomics people. In particular, they would use it to hone their skills, to promote themselves, promote their comics. But it was kind of an annual event, kind of up there with Free Comic Book, or not Free Comic Book Day. Well, Free Comic Book Day is one, but was it 24-hour comic?
Yeah, and then they have a writing thing in November. They do two every year.
Yeah, so was it Nomo, Right-Mo, or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. Bananarama, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're going to trademark that one too, right? So yeah, you the audience helped Jake Parker build up this brand, which now has value. So he got a publishing deal. He's taking Inktober with him, but you know, it's not sitting well with a lot of people. He had a disclaimer last year where he basically said that you know, as it got bigger, there are bad actors out there trying to profit off of Inktober.
It says him who's profiting off Inktober.
Right. He said, I could let the bad actors win, eventually taking over Inktober and diluting it on purpose, or I could fight back against them. I've chosen to fight back using my intellectual property rights.
Okay, if that was the case, why is he doing a book?
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, this was about that. This was about, oh, I'm doing it for those who are misusing it. It's for you as I'm making a book.
Yeah, no.
Oh, crap.
Let me help you help me.
Pretty much.
I've chosen to fight back using my intellectual property rights, which is why I registered the trademark I've been using since 2009. It's not my intention to hinder the very artists that made Inktober so popular or to marginalize creators that Inktober was intended to support. He asked his lawyers to take action against those wrongfully profiting. So he has this big statement. People are like, okay, that sounds pretty legit. That sounds pretty legit.
Wrongfully profiting, that wasn't me.
And now this happens. So
this is where it gets a little weird.
This is where it gets weird. So he trademarked Inktober, most likely so he could have an Inktober product line, right? And one of the first things I'm aware of, I don't know if it's the first thing he's doing with the Inktober brand, but there is a pre-order for Inktober registered trademark all year long, and this book is getting a lot of attention. His Inktober Instagram account has like 800,000 followers.
So let's refresh this, guys. Here's what recap. So he started Inktober, which was his thing, yes, but he encouraged everybody else to do it. Everybody built it up. Everybody, you know, kind of pushed him, you know, lifted him up and everything else with it. As soon as it got big enough that he could profit off of it, he went and trademarked it and then told everybody else they couldn't use it because he was only trying to stop those that are misusing it. What that means is I'm trying to stop those who might make money off it that I'm not getting a cut of. And now to this year, we're getting a book because everybody's just clamoring for that damn book.
Well, they are.
Oh, there's an official prompt list for 2020. Do you have to pay $1 every time you use one?
That would be very capitalistic of him. So here's the problem, right? So this happened last year, and it was kind of a controversy. But this year, there is an accusation by another artist. His name is Alphonso Dunn, and he is also a YouTuber. He's got like, I think 600,000 or 700,000 followers on YouTube. He does a lot of art tutorial videos. He put a book out in 2015 called Pen and Ink Drawing a Simple Guide. Now, he put a video out where he basically took what's available so far of the Inktober book and put it next to his own book, which has been available for the last 5 years. And I gotta tell you, he's got a pretty good case. It's very, 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 very similar.
Does an extra very up close to the mic actually make it more very?
Very.
It's kind of weird because he's literally sitting back, very, 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 and he gets at the microphone going, very, just to make sure. And it's very, very this, and it's very, very that.
It's very peculiar. It is. It's very close. I watched the video. I'm like, well, you know, artists put out books all the time. You know, and there's only so many things you can teach, really. When
right, it's going to have overlap. I mean, that's normal.
But the way the pages were laid out, the specific techniques talked about, the way that it was broken down, the way that things were conceptualized, very, very, very similar to Dunn's book.
Are you going to do it again?
Very.
That just annoys me. It's like nailing a chalkboard to me. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, and you're not even listening to it in a headset. So I watched this video and I was like, you know, I was kind of skeptical because look, people come up with ideas all the time, whatever.
But this is a pretty big accusation to make on a YouTube channel where there's a lot of evidence. So I don't think this person would make this accusation unless they really strongly felt it was true.
And he's got, you know, 600 and some thousand subs. He's been on YouTube for a very long time. And he kind of goes through like page by page and points out, like, I mean, damn near identical, the layouts, the text is changed a little bit, but it's the same basic gist, even talking like, well, here I drew how you should hold your pens, and he's doing pretty much the same thing. Here's the different techniques, and he's doing pretty much. And he said there were some certain things in the book. Now go watch the video for yourself. I'm gonna put a link to it. You can decide for yourself. But there are certain things I guess he put in the book that he's like, I spent a lot of time thinking about how to visualize or conceptualize or teach a certain concept or whatever. And you should know as an art teacher, sometimes it's hard to come up with, certain...
It is unusual they would pick something like consistency and lines and they both would have it. That is a little bit unusual.
And again, there's only so many ways to ink.
Yeah, but okay. But in my opinion, this is my opinion, it is a little odd because this is not something that you would think of. But he did a 5 application too?
Yeah.
And it called it that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a little weird.
Light and shadow. And
those things like the gradation chart, that's normal. That's a typical, that is a typical lesson that you would teach. And that, you could argue that, was a similarity. But like some of the 5 steps, and he's saying the 5 steps, and then like the consistency and lines, and that is a little weird. I have to admit.
Now, I did watch, the video's very long. It's almost an hour. I was kind of listening to it in the background as I was doing other things. But the parts I caught of it, he did say that there were certain ways that he illustrated concepts that he had never seen illustrated in books before. Mm-hmm. And Parker's book is
some of the things I'm seeing, I haven't seen before. And I teach art.
Yeah, so, it's a very curious case here. I don't know if there's any sort of legal recourse or not, or if the judge would just be like, he did a book about inking, you did a book about inking, it's a free market, whatever. But yeah, it was for me personally, just kind of watching it, I'm like, yeah, this is, I gotta tell you, just it's
the line consistency thing. That's an oddly specific thing.
Yeah, and there's a lot here, but he's going through. Now, the difference is Dunn actually pulls up how he came up with all these concepts.
It feels like Working Girl when they're in the elevator, and then she explains how she thought of it.
Oh, Working Girl. Yeah, because that's the thing. When people lift your stuff,
which has happened to us before.
Which has happened, and then they have to replicate that or come up with new ideas, they can't do it.
Or perform, and they can't.
Right, but he's showing you his sketches. He's showing you his sketches, like he's done all the math, right? He's got it here. He's got it, all of his sketches for this book, all of his concepts, he was trying to conceptualize things, and he said he put a lot of work into this book. I'm sure he
did. Like I said, there's some things there I haven't seen. There's some things I have seen as an art teacher that are pretty standard, like the gradation charts and things. That's standard, but using squares and stuff like that, that's standard. But some of these other things, that was a little, something you don't see all the time.
Right, so this isn't like somebody just coming off the street, like the Harry Potter, Larry Potter thing, where it was like, this is like, look, I'm showing you exactly how I did it. My book was out 5 years before. I'm pretty notable on YouTube, which he is. He's not like some rando. He's got like 600 and some thousand subs. Yeah. And his book is a pretty good selling book. And along comes Mr. Inktober, Mr. Jake Parker, with something very, very similar.
So basically, he put the trademark on it. The bad actors just means people that might use the name in their title, because I want to use the name and sell my own book and make all the money off of it after all you people out there made the word worth something. No one gave a shit until everybody else made it worth something.
Well, the irony in this is that he put a big statement out last year about, wanting to get rid of the bad actors, and he's fighting back for his intellectual property rights, and then now he's being accused of basically lifting somebody else's book.
Right. Now that could be a whole nother thing. I hope that, that the person has, legal counsel in place, because now, he could this could come back, Jake, his name's Jake, right?
Parker,
he can go back on him now because he said it.
Well, yeah, because it's, I don't know legally if this is considered like a defamation or what, but it's a very hefty allegation to throw at somebody. Now, he put up on Instagram, Jake Parker said, as you have likely read, my plans to publish Inktober all year long in fourth quarter 2020 have become a point of controversy and much social media speculation. While the book has not even been released, a fellow artist reviewed excerpts from images of the book I posted online and accused me of copying his work. I want you to hear this directly from me. I have not plagiarized anyone's work.
I did not have inappropriate contact. I have to say.
Of course, the books will both discuss similar topics, techniques, tools, steps, etc. Well, that's the defense basically with an art book is like how many ways can you actually teach?
I'm saying
it?
As an art teacher, some of the things I'm seeing, I'm like, I've seen that many times. But there are some things there that I was like, I've never really seen that before. And it's weird that both of you are doing the exact same thing. That is a little weird.
Unfortunately, the artist has made this a public issue rather than contacting me directly. I still welcome him to reach out. Well, what is he gonna say? Hey, yo, you copied my book. What's the deal? And you get silence, you know, or be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I mean, there's no good way to accuse somebody of stealing your stuff.
Right.
You know, I mean, there really isn't.
I just can't think, I mean, someone might have made a video like that because they're mad, but I just can't think that they would, you know, that the person that's upset about it, what's his name again? Was it Alphonso?
Alphonso Dunn, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't think that he would go and make a video about it and make that kind of accusation unless he was very, very, very certain that there was something, there was awful lot of similarities. Now, I'm waiting for issues to happen to us because a long time ago, one of the agents that talked to us about doing our book was very insistent on knowing the end of the book. Insistent on it. And so we're like, okay, and you told her how it ended.
Yeah.
And there's a very similar book that is coming out soon from somebody she represents. And I'm like, it better not be similar to ours because this person did specifically ask for the ending, which I thought was very odd.
I don't think I told her exactly what happened.
Okay, good.
I kind of danced around.
Because it was a really weird question. Like, why does that matter?
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. Yeah, it shouldn't matter. Like, there's no shock ending. What's the deal?
Irony that somebody that also represents people like, you know, this person.
There are very few people who represent cartoonists in the industry, and Mr. Jake Parker is represented by one of them. So here's the thing. Knowing who he's represented by, I can tell you he's absolutely lawyered up. So this is going to be, I mean, if Mr. Dunn is going to accuse him of this is going to be a tough one because he's going to have, you know, his lawyer, his agent, the publisher, you know, which is, it's a bigger publisher than Mr. Dunn has. He's going to have them on his side, and their argument is going to be that, well, it's an art book and, you know, the people do tons of art books and, you know, prove it.
Well, there was one person that was a webcomic person, and I'm not going to name names or anything, but they were very upset and had a right to be because they had a character and they had a storyline that had been going on for years, and they had pitched to an agent. Was the agent? Was they pitched to or somebody?
Yeah, the agent,
They pitched to. And then the book supposedly didn't go anywhere, didn't get sold or whatever. And then all of a sudden, through one of the main publishing houses, a book series that was eerily similar, we're like talking like way too much to be coincidental, shows up. And didn't it turn out that one of that person was one of the writers on the book? The person that they had actually was supposedly their agent?
Yeah, the story as I understand it.
we're not naming names or anything, but that's how, you know, it was presented.
As I understand it, they liked the overall concept, but they basically took his concept and his characters and changed the names and made it a younger book, made it like a middle grade book versus a high school age or YA book. And the agent and this other writer that was supposed to collaborate with him sold it, and then they
were collaborating with him. I think the agent just took it and was working
to somebody else.
That or they were themselves writing it. It was really weird. So you have to be careful because there's fishy crap happens all the time. And at the end of the day, they had more money and they're a bigger publisher, so they were going to win. It was crap and it was wrong. Now, this case, you know, this would be really hard to prove.
Well, because the book
it's going to be really, really hard.
It's going to be hard to prove. I mean, do I think that it's very, very similar? Oh, absolutely. I watched the video. I'm like, yeah, this isn't just, I mean, yeah, this is very, very similar. But, you know, proving that he straight up lifted it is it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
And sadly, what's going to happen is if he did it, we don't know, but if he did it, he'd probably get away with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, sadly, this is what happens all the time. People come up with ideas, people build things, people make things, people do something, and somebody comes along and just up and takes it, and, you know, they get away with it.
Yeah. Now we've got, this guy's like, he should have contacted him privately, or his...
or he should have his lawyer contact him privately. Now he had time to now, because if he would have got a lawyer first, they wouldn't have seen it coming. They wouldn't have had time to deflect, and now they've had time to deflect.
Well, that's
he basically just gave him a heads up.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And if they did back channel, it would have all like just got swept under the rug.
Yeah, but yeah, he said he said in this case. He said
yeah, and I mean, I don't know what to say. I know it pretty much comes down to, and we've been in legal battles before. It comes down to who's got the money to fight. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able
stuff
to
like this, though, it's hard.
It's hard because
I'm not gonna lie, it is.
Do I think it's very similar? Oh, hell yeah. I mean, it's really similar, but to be able to prove that in court and get any sort of like injunction or monetary. I mean, we're not talking about like a character. It's not like you
or a storyline that's pretty much the same.
Right, and then you've got a paper trail. See, a lot of times when people do have cases like this, or they settle or whatever, a lot of times there's a paper trail. Like, oh, they pitched to this studio, they rejected them, but then like a year or two later, something came out that was damn near identical to what was pitched.
That's why when you pitch, you have to sign agreements now that say if something similar comes out, you can't come after us legally, which means we could steal your shit and you can't do anything, and you agreed to it.
Yeah, that's how. Look, I'm gonna be honest. That's how Disney gets away with a lot of stuff. People are like, how can they, like lift ideas or whatever? Because when you pitch to them, you basically sign away your rights.
It said right in the pitch.
It says right in the contract with Disney. We had Disney option something before. They didn't use it. But we also signed, when we took the money, we cashed the check. It said, like, if we just happen to come up with a similar idea, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. You're waiving your rights to sue us.
But the thing is, if you want a chance to have a show at these places,
you have to play the game.
You have to play the game. But sadly, what happens, I think, is the people that are friends with people are the ones that get in because they know you personally, so you can't screw them over as easily.
Yeah.
And then other people get stuff, not saying just Disney in general, finagled, away from them. And if you want a chance, you have to agree to it, or you don't get a chance. So it's really, really unfairly stacked. That's why I like YouTube so much, because people can actually make their own things and do it, and then they can prove things because they have a paper trail, a video trail,
Yeah, I mean, well, here, I mean, look at some of the comments here. It's like, the same concepts are going to be similar. You can't deny the fact that Dunn has a specific teaching style and structure in his book that you copied nearly exactly. There are too many similarities. I agree with that, because everybody's going to try to get these concepts across, but they're going to do it in their own way. Like, I've had multiple anatomy books, art books, and they weren't exactly the same book. Like you've got, Bern Hogarth, who teaches his own style, and then you've got other artists that teach the same thing, but they do it a different way, in a way that makes sense for them. I'm sorry, the pages I saw, the comparisons, I'm like, this is damn near identical. Well,
like I said, for me as an art teacher, Bryce, I take a shot every time she says that, but I'm bringing it up because I this is my background, and there were some things that I saw that I've seen used many, many times as our standard teaching practices. But there's other things I'm like, well, that's a really unusual thing to be talking about. That they would both have that specific, thing that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. It really, really is. Not into the video. I'm sure if I watch the video, I'll think that more. But just from what you've shown me, I'm like, well, that's not something you normally see. So why would, you know what I mean? I see a couple things there as an art teacher that I'm like, yeah, that's not normally something I would see.
I mean, this is just, 2 years in a row now, there's been all this controversy over Inktober, and the whole thing was basically, and look, he's within his rights to do that, but the whole thing was, kind of a marketing stunt for, to get himself...
elevate himself to get a deal for the book. And then after he got it, it's worth money, now he wants.
Now he wants to cash out. But, the difference is, okay, fine, you cash out on the Inktober name, but don't take somebody else's book with you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, people are turning on him, and they're turning on Inktober. They were soured on it last year. But this is it. This is probably, I mean, I think this is probably the kiss of death for it, because now there's too much
Well, it
drama.
depends how much it gets out. Like, I mean, right now it's not like super all over the place, you know, but if it spreads, that could be a problem for him selling the book.
Well, Jay here says that, and just judging by the comments, it looks like people are pissed, but Jay here says that the art community is being torn apart by, I know last year there was a lot of controversy.
I know the
around
Inktober thing was a huge deal. I do remember that.
And I didn't know because I was doing Inktober stuff last year, and people were like, here's the deal. You don't even want to go anywhere near it. You don't
We'll have to think of a new name for it. We'll think of something.
Doodle-sember.
No, that's not.
Drawsember.
No, you're not doing Drawsember. Gosh. Okay, we'll think of something at some point, maybe.
Festivus. No, I don't know. So that's that, guys. I will put a link to the video entitled "Jake Parker Plagiarized My Book." I'll put a link to the Amazon books. You can judge for yourself. I'm going to let you judge for yourself. Again, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere legally because it is expensive to fight these things, but it's a very strange coincidence.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.